Well, Philadelphia's shitty night continued as the Eagles lost their second straight game in a row. This time, not to a team that was in the playoffs last year in the Denver Broncos. No, they lost it to the New York fucking Giants of all teams. Yeah, the team that was one of the worst teams in football, team that looked absolutely lost for, I don't know, ever since Brian Dable actually got hired. I didn't look lost tonight. No, because this game was not competitive. At least the Phillies game was competitive. I mean, it did go into extra innings. There was hope there. The Eagles were ill-prepared from the jump. They lose 34-17 and got absolutely embarrassed in this one. They were run over, not by like a Saquon Barkley type. No. They weren't run over by, oh God, Malik Neighbors. No, he's out. They weren't run over by, oh God, like an Eli Manning. No, because he's retired. No, they got run over by Cam Scattaboo, who rushed for over 100 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, this is a guy that looks like he's 27-year-old and lives at the Ocean Drive during the summertime, if you know what I mean. Like, they got absolutely cooked by Cam fucking Scattaboo. Please, if you're still a Nick Sirianni defender, I want to know why. Because this team was ill-prepared for not the first, the second, for the 6th straight week. They did not resemble the team that we have seen last year, the team that went on to win the Super Bowl in epic fashion, mind you. And I was one of those people. And in a way, I think I still am. I might be just reactionary because it's like 1 a.m. I just watched the Phillies blow it. And then, on top of it, the Eagles weren't competitive. So maybe I am being reactionary, but I was one of those people that said, hey, let's give them time. Let's not compare it to 2023. Let's not compare it to the collapse, okay? Give them time to find their footing. But there were signs to be concerned. And at this point, you're 6 games into the season. At what point do you go, okay, these aren't just signs anymore. Like, this is who they might be. They might be a team that somehow took a 2,000-yard rusher and through 6 weeks, he doesn't have a 100-yard game. They might be a team that found a way to do the same exact thing to A.J. Brown through the air. He doesn't have a 100-yard game. At least I'm pretty positive he doesn't. If he does, it's like 100. Actually, hit thumbs down for that. I don't know. I didn't look it up. Once again, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. But I'm pretty sure he doesn't have a 100-yard game. I'm like very, very confident in that. They have taken an offense that dummied the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl, the biggest stage. An offense that has all their weapons back, except one guy, the right guard, Mekhi Becton. But other than that, they have everybody back. And they somehow have found a way to neuter it. They snipped the balls right off this offense. And they look lost. I mean, it seems like the game plan is like, hey, let's just get the ball to Dallas Goedert. And that's about it. I liked what I saw from the offense last week against Denver in the first half. It just looked different. It looked like the offense from last year. They were getting slant patterns. They were mixing in the RPO a lot. They were doing some play action fakes. I liked what I saw. And then they choked. And this week, they just didn't look ready at all. And I know every Eagles fan is like, fire Petula, fire Petula. I'm asking you to look a little deeper. Like, let's really think about this for a split second. Let's think about what the offense looked like under Nick Sirianni his first year when he was in charge of the offense. Offensive-minded head coach gets hired. It's his first head coaching gig. He gets hired. He starts calling the offense. They looked like dog shit. He was in danger of losing the team. So he hands the play calling off to Shane Steichen. If you've watched any of my videos before, you've heard this spiel before. So I apologize. But it needs to be repeated. Shane Steichen, a competent play caller, ends up getting them to the playoffs that year, turning the season around, and then the next year they go to the Super Bowl. Okay, so the year after that, Brian Johnson. Brian Johnson's a rookie play caller, never been an OC before, not established. It is well documented at this point that Nick Sirianni was meddling like crazy. Fingerprints all over it. He would overrule Brian Johnson on key third downs, on second downs, and it was a stagnated offense with little motion, and it was boring. It was neutered. Brian Johnson gets fired. They hire a proven OC in Kellen Moore, and what do? They win the Super Bowl. And then to replace Kellen Moore, they go back to the well. They do the same thing they did with Brian Johnson. We're going to hire from within. We're going to hire this Kevin Petula guy. He's never called plays before. He's not an established OC, but we'll call him. At this point, Nick Sirianni has a ring on his finger. Probably think he's God's gift to football because, I mean, if you see him on the sidelines, he is cocky as shit. Do you really think for 1 second that Nick Sirianni isn't overruling Kevin Petula on some plays? If you really think that he is not meddling like crazy, do you really think that he does not have his fingerprints all over this offense? Because there has been one constant through now, at this point, 3 different examples of the Eagles offense looking like pure dog shit with basically the same weapons, and it is Nick Sirianni. And once again, this offense goes out there and, you know, other than a tush push, basically, 4 straight tush pushes to get in the end zone, and, you know, a nice play call to Dallas Goedert on a little flip. Other than that, this offense had nothing. They're one of the worst teams of going 3 and out. They don't look motivated. They look lost. And the one thing you can point to is, okay, well, what did they lose? Once again, they lost Mekhi Becton, but they also lost Kellen Moore. And it was my big concern going into the season was, it's not necessarily Kevin Petula. It's, okay, is the coach, who I don't think knows a damn thing, is he going to meddle? And I know that, once again, Eagles fans will defend this guy till they're blue in the face because he's got a Super Bowl ring. But come on. He couldn't tell you what he does on a day-in, day-out basis as the head football coach. And every time he touches the offense as an offensive-minded head coach, the offense looks like this. So, look, I'm going to get Zach Berman on. He knows way more than me, and if he dispels this myth, I'll own it. But this is now the 6th straight week in a row where we have yet to see a complete game from the offense. Actually, that's not true. 5 weeks we didn't see a complete game. This week we saw a complete game. It was just dog shit. And I know I'm focusing on the offense, but it was really the defense as well that got absolutely run over. Vic Fangio fell asleep at the wheel. And it's well known that Vic Fangio is a diehard Phillies fan. Maybe he was just up late last night watching the game. Maybe he was watching Game 3. Maybe he's taking a peek at Game 4. But this is the worst I've seen from a Vic Fangio defense in a long time, where you couldn't contain Jackson Dart and you couldn't contain Cam fucking Scattaboo. But my big concern isn't necessarily that they lost this game, because as I said many times, I'm not going to overreact to 1 loss. I'm not going to be overreacting to 2 losses. Those kind of things happen. But what I'm reacting to is, at this point, a 6-week sample size that tells me that while the Eagles are one of the best teams in football, I still believe that. They are one of the best teams in football if they get everything right. Again, I do believe that. But while I think that, there is concern that 2023 is happening again. I know a lot of people out there laughed at it, including myself, and said, look, let's just give this time. But at what point do you go, okay, yeah, no, this does look a lot like 2023. And in week 6, against a very, very bad New York Giants team, you can sit there and you can go, okay, well, they're missing Landon Dickerson. They're missing Nolan Smith. Jalen Carter's. Come on. The New York Giants are missing their number 1 wide receiver threat, the most talented guy on their offense in Malik Neighbors. He is out. They're playing a rookie quarterback. And you can't figure out a way to bottle that up, to confuse him? This should have been a walk in the park for this team. This should have been the easiest 5-1 start. And you fucked up. You somehow found a way to fuck it up. And again, if they had simply lost this game, okay, but it wasn't in a combination of what we've seen up until this point, where the team has failed to really put together a complete game, and it has been what team are we getting? What half of football are we getting? I'd be like, look, shit happens, okay? They weren't prepared. They'll be all right. But it is the combination of all of that combined where you go, at what point is it okay to have some concern about this team? And at this point, yeah, I'm concerned. I'm concerned that you somehow found a way to take a 2,000-yard back and he doesn't have a 100-yard game. That he's ripping off runs, but then all of a sudden you kind of abandon it. That A.J. Brown, 100-yard, one of the most talented wide receivers we've ever seen in Eagles green, kind of looks like, the second option behind Dallas Goedert. The fact that Landon Dickerson, Landon often injured Dickerson. And I look, he is extremely talented. He's one of the best, if not the best guard, one of the best left guards in football, if not the best. But the guy is often injured. He ends up leaving the game against the Broncos. His ankle gets rolled up. And now your offense looks lost. Without Landon Dickerson? I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Toth is good. No, he's terrible. But that is inexcusable. Because, again, this is the New York Giants. This is a team that is projected to be one of the worst in football. You just handed them a win. This could end up benefiting. This could end up being good for the Eagles in the sense of maybe it's a wake-up call. On the flip, also, you end up giving the Giants a win, hurting their draft stock because that's what they're playing for. They're playing for the draft pick. So, maybe in a couple of weeks we'll laugh about this. I really do hope that they right the ship. But at this point, it is 6 weeks. Yeah, you can be concerned because the Eagles were not prepared. The Eagles got out-coached by Brian Daboll. Like, let that sink in. It's at the door. The Eagles got out-coached by Brian Daboll. That is inexcusable. I don't know where to go with this team. And that's the problem. They haven't given you an idea of who they are. And I really think it starts from the top down. Where they just consistently at this point look ill-prepared. To me, it seems like they won those first 4 weeks because of talent. And then the chips are starting to show. The cracks. There's chinks in the armor. I don't know why I said chips, but I'm rambling. You get the idea. Look, it's been a shitty night, okay? Phillies lost. Eagles lost. I got some slapdick baseball podcaster who's coming at my throat because he's, bitter and jealous. It's been a really shitty night for Philadelphia sports, and I think the one thing that we could have sat there and went, I don't think the Flyers are going to win, and the Phillies might not win, but the Eagles are playing the fucking Giants. They don't win. So, yeah, they got to get it right. And it's inexcusable. Now's the part where I ask you guys to please subscribe to the channel. Subscribe, please, please, please. All right? If you have multiple Gmail accounts, please subscribe. I need subscribers. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Let me know if I'm being too conspiracy theorist with this. I keep pounding the table for it. Like, I really do think it's Nick Sirianni's problem. You cannot, at this point, convince me that this is a well-coached team. You can't convince me that he's a good coach just because he won a Super Bowl. We've seen the Brian Billocks of the world. We've seen the Doug Petersons of the world. Like, John Gruden's of the world. Bad coaches win Super Bowls. So we've seen it. And I think that Nick Sirianni is another example of that. He just looks like he's coming unglued a little bit. And it's, again, this team is too talented to be playing the way they are because they lose a couple of guys. They lose a Landon Dickerson. If you're playing the Buffalo Bills this week, okay, I go, hey, man, you lost Landon Dickerson. You're not playing Jalen Carter. Okay. But I was doing the watch-along for PHLY, and I turned to one of the guys and I said, look, even with all the loss, if they lose to the Giants, they have bigger problems. Well, guess what? They lost to the Giants. They have bigger problems. Again, subscribe, like, dislike, comment. I'm going to go to bed.